Welcome back to Buzz TV. I'm Steve Strum. This morning we have Rebecca Black from Rebecca Black Immigration. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I am good. So we were talking offset. You have an absolutely amazing legal practice that has to deal with immigration, naturalization from a legal perspective, but in a completely different atmosphere than a whole lot of people may think about. Tell us a little bit about what you do in your business.
Well, there's several different ways to look at what we do. We either help companies sponsor foreign nationals for positions, whether through a green card process or for temporary work visas. We also help companies with worksite enforcement issues, their I-9 verification and issues like that with either the Department of Labor or ICE. And then we also help people come here legally or seek a legal pathway to get their permanent residency and then eventually, knock on wood, their citizenship.
And we were talking a little bit about some of this stuff this morning in a very politically charged topic. I think that's a fair way to say that right now.
Yes, it's a very...
Whether it's the on-site enforcement of paperwork for that, the responsibility legally that employers have, and we were talking about an example from your own past about how some of these things happen for even some of the business owners that do things right. Give us an example of a business owner who legally owns a business in the United States, who's of legal citizenship, who employs people that may have done all of their paperwork right, but yet there's still liabilities that they can find themselves in.
Well, we had a hotel in St. Augustine who had 100% American workforce. All their workforce was from Green Cove Springs or Palatka. And this owner, he thought he was doing all his I-9 paperwork correctly. And that's, if you're not familiar with an I-9, that's where when you get a new job, you have to bring in your U.S. passport or your green card or your driver's license and social security card, and you're filling out this stuff. And this employer thought that he had all his I-9 paperwork all in order, so ICE showed up at his doorstep and said, "Give us all your paperwork, your I-9 paperwork." And so at the height of his ignorance, he handed over all the documents. He didn't keep a copy. 6 months later, ICE returned and they said, "Well, we're fining you $40,000 for errors in the paperwork. Your workforce is 100% legal, but we're going to fine you because you and your employees haven't filled out the forms correctly."
And so these are people that are okay to work in the United States, that are citizens of the United States, but the paperwork that one has to fill out to be gainfully employed may have been missing a checkbox.
Yes.
And they got hit for a salary's worth of fines.
Yes.
And that's for people. And so then there's the other side. We're in North Florida, heavy construction industry, heavy subcontractor world, which might have a different set of circumstances. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in that side of the universe.
Well, I think the Department of Labor always looks at employment issues because sometimes construction companies, they work through subcontractors, and there's layers and multiple layers of who's working for whom or who's contracted out by whom. And so I think there's been a feeling of security because they feel like, hey, I'm hiring companies to do these work, and who works for them is their problem. But at the end of the day, the Department of Labor looks at that and says, well, not necessarily, because we're going into who controls where somebody goes to work on a daily basis and what kind of jobs they're doing. And if that's the case, then they're not necessarily independent contractors. They're actually employees, and that can be a problem.
So you and I could probably talk for hours about this, and every time I see you, I learn something new. For all of the folks that are tuning in, listening, wanting to know, is my paperwork done right? Do I have any exposure? How do they find out more about you? How do they connect with you?
Well, depending on who they are and what their interest is, we have free office hours every Saturday and Sundays in our second office at the Beach Boulevard Flea Market. That's from 12 to 5. Yes, I'm there 99% of every weekend of the year, being the answer lady. And it's first come, first serve. Sometimes there's a line out the door, but sometimes it's pretty slow, so you may not have to wait at all. Then Monday through Friday, we set appointments at our office at 4830 Atlantic Boulevard, and there we require a phone call at 904-999-4928.
And then, of course, you're on website, social media, and all that stuff.
Website, social media, you can
Just find you at Rebecca Black.
Rebecca Black Immigration PA.
Okay.
And there we are.
Well, that is, and I know that, in the time that we have today, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's amazing. I learned something. I want to go check my own paperwork now, as a matter of fact. Might have to give you a call. Thank you for joining us today. Your wealth of knowledge in this department is absolutely amazing, and I'm sure people could benefit from that. And if people want to connect with you, whether they call you, website, or come by and ask the answer lady, I'm sure you can help. Thank you
very much.
Yes,
Take
ma'am.
care.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us on Buzz TV. If you like us, share us, and remember, live with gratitude.